Hey everyone, this is a second video. My first video was less about herbal preparations and more about things you can do right now to both calm yourself, put yourself, your family, your community at ease. If not for right now, then things that you can do to know that you're prepared in the future too. I think there's a lot of pressure in the world right now to go out and do things we wouldn't normally do, like stock up on a ton of weird products that we don't normally use, buy things that we could make at home or already have, things that maybe aren't even very helpful. So I hope that last video helped you to feel very grounded in the things that you can do without going out and spending much money on things that you don't really need. I am as crazy as I've been feeling and as emotionally just exhausted as I felt yesterday. I also have a really great feeling of confidence, assurance, and community that have come from all of this. Confidence in the fact that what I'm doing in this world feels right, and assurance that the plants, the things I already rely on every day, are some of the last things that are gonna be here. They've had our back forever. They always will, you know? And that's one of the most important things that I'm so happy to see going around right now, is that, you know, modern medicine, of course, is very helpful. We don't actually have modern medicine that fights viruses. And let's just say we did make one that fought this virus, it's only gonna look like one thing. So we know what the virus looks like when it hits the body, right? So if we were to make an antiviral, it would be able to fight what the virus looks like before it enters the body. The thing that's crazy about this virus, and if you don't really want to learn more about this virus, if you're feeling overstimulated by information, you might want to just skip a few minutes here. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what it does in the body. The thing that differentiates this from the flu, and I think when we're hearing people say, it's no worse than the flu, what they're speaking to is the symptoms. For example, you know, you could have the virus and not really know or feel anything, but it's much more dangerous than the flu because we know the flu. We've learned it. You go to the doctor and they say, give it 10 days, you should be feeling better. We don't know this virus as well. And the crazy thing about it is its ability to shapeshift once into the body. One of the things I love to talk about in the body is that we are constantly adapting. When you change elevation, when you enter an area with pollution, when you travel. So as soon as that virus hits your bloodstream, your body is signaling, shooting off things, misfiring, getting all the people together to like fight this thing and kick it in the butt, and then the virus is putting on a mask and it's like, haha, tricked you, can't find me. And then all the cells that are going crazy trying to fight are like, wait, where'd he go, where'd he go, where'd he go? And then they're like, he's the new guy with the mask. And so then they're all like trying to fight him again, and then bam, he changes again. So this is what makes this virus different and a little more scary. What can we do? There are so many things we can do. I'm so glad you asked. This is where herbs come in, and this is why herbal medicine is so important right now. For one, we have many options, not just the one option. And for two, plants have been adapting with us as long as people have been around. So that's one of the greatest, coolest things about plant medicine. So I'm going to really dive in here and start talking about different herbs you can use and what they do, but I did want to just cover that basis. Hello, Tito. I know sometimes when we're sick, we can feel a little weary about plant medicine. Some people are like, am I doing the right thing by not taking this? And in the case of viruses, unfortunately, because there is not modern medicine for it, this is a time to really lean into your herbs, Tito, and your herbal supplements. So let's dive in here. I'm going to give you, Tito, I'm going to give you a little list of the herbs I'm going to cover here first, and then we'll get into everything. So usnea, forsythia, kudzu, honeysuckle, propolis, myrrh, lobelia, boneset, astragalus, teasel, knotweed, olive, licorice, lemon balm, bical skullcap, mullein. Did I already say that? Cats, y'all. And some more that are on my computer that we'll get into. Important thing to note, you do not need to use all of these herbs by any means. These are all different recommendations that do different things, but also I want to give you all a lot of recommendations. That way, a lot of you who are already working with plant medicine can go, oh, I have those things. Those of you that maybe aren't can go, ooh, I think that's growing nearby me, and you can go reach for what you have. That's the important thing that I really want to get across here. Use your resources. Use what you already have. That's the most important thing. And I am going to go over a couple resources at the end where if you truly feel like you don't have resources to pull from, you can order a couple things online or maybe pick up at your local health food store, whichever one you're feeling better about right now. But yeah, keep that in mind. You do not need to go crazy and go source all of these herbs. So I'll go, another thing I want to note, I'm going to post some different articles here. There are a lot of herbalists and medical professionals that have already put out a ton of information about how the virus works, what we can do to treat it, what these different herbs do. So I'm really going to just try to move through here and talk to you a little bit about a lot of herbs. And then if you want to dive in more, I'll be sure to share some resources with you guys. So a couple things that I just happen to have sitting right here is some usnea. This is what it looks like. If you're on our Patreon, this is one of the plants that we went over in February's plant walk. This is an incredible resource to use right now because not only does it have antiviral properties, it's antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial, so it's really got everything we want going on right now. Also, as if that weren't enough, it's incredible for upper respiratory, bronchial, and all that jazz. And one of the crappiest things about this virus is that, without getting too technical here, the virus inhibits your lungs' natural ability to pull mucus up for you to get out. So we really want some of these like bronchial, upper respiratory, expectorant herbs big time. One of my favorites for that is lobelia, and the reason being, lobelia has some other things that a lot of other lung supportive herbs don't have, and my favorite quality of that being its ability to relax the diaphragm. If you've ever had a super intense cough where you've been constricting your chest over and over, you're sore from coughing so much, you can't get anything out at that point. So lobelia relaxes the diaphragm, it opens your capillaries, and it really allows you to cough that stuff up. Luckily, lobelia is a native plant here in the South. We have 3 different varieties that grow all over. I really can't speak to many other areas and how prevalent it is, but we definitely have some. I've got it in a few of our permanent offerings. I'd be happy to give you some of the plant matter, some tinctured, and you can probably find some of that online pretty easily. Whereas some of these other herbs, what I consider hyper-local or misfit herbs, are a little harder to find online. So here's another one. I've got some old turkey tails here on this log. Turkey tails grow absolutely everywhere. And they are one of my absolute favorite medicinal mushrooms. I also feel that these are very underrated. I see people using things like reishi, chaga, cordyceps. I love all of these too. But that said, this is one of the most prevalent mushrooms that not only grows everywhere but grows aplenty. And we're focusing so much more on some of these medicinal mushrooms that are a lot harder to grow and are not quite as prevalent. And turkey tail, I can't get too far into it. I'm already on 10 minutes here, but there is a reason that it is one of the #1 cancer preventatives being studied right now. It has a lot of things that it does for our body's immune system, and all of the response systems in the body. Oh, and both of these need to be dual extracted. Hold on. Hello? something is walking around out there. Both of these need to be dual extracted, which means we need to do an alcohol and a water extraction. I've got a big video available at our $3 level on Patreon about how to pull out the medicinal constituents of mushrooms, and I do talk a little bit about usnea and other things that need it too. So, moving right along, I'm going to read some things to you all because some of this is just too much of a mouthful. So, okay, let's go over some more like local native things that are probably within your reach that you can get to before we dive into the other stuff. If you can see this beautiful yellow bush right here, this is forsythia, and I use forsythia a lot for things like cell mastosis and quite a few other things. Very popular Chinese herbal. It was brought over here for its medicinal uses. This is not the ideal time to use it, although you can still use it right now. And I'll tell you why. The best time to use it is when it goes to fruit. The seeds are found in the fruit, and you want to use the fruit while it's still green, meaning it hasn't quite gone into seed yet, it hasn't dried out. These blooms will turn into those fruits. So although this is not the most ideal way to use forsythia, you can still use it in this way. I luckily still had some of the pods from like a big bundle I dried out last year, but I'm throwing some of the flowers in there too. These are also edible. I've seen people in restaurants make simple syrup out of it, decorate food with it, and two other invasive species that can be easily found in a few regions. Here in the South, we are covered in kudzu, and everywhere else in the world, and also in the South, we seem to be covered in Japanese knotweed. These are two major players in antivirals, including the flus, HIV, all kinds of things. So good ones to know. So let's go over these a little bit. Japanese knotweed. The entire flowering plant is used to make medicine. Although concentrations in the root are most popularly used, it is used for swelling, inflammation of the main airways, lungs, bronchitis, coughs, sore throats. Forsythia is used for the swelling of small air passages in the lungs, the tonsillitis, bronchitis, sore throat, fever, vomiting, heart disease, pain, swelling, inflammation. It is a traditional Chinese remedy for all kinds of overheating, toxins, fever, swollen lymphs, which is big in this virus, flus, and other inflammations. So we just went over Japanese knotweed and forsythia. Kudzu root contains several chemical compounds that make it wonderful for the circulatory system, respiratory system, inflammation, and digestive disorders. An important thing to note about kudzu is that it can, let me make sure I got this for you guys. Okay, it can lower blood sugar in diabetics, and it is a blood thinner. So if you're already on blood thinners, you might want to maybe not use kudzu. Teasel root. This is two that are very interesting that I need to speak on quite a bit are teasel root and boneset. Don't reach for teasel root and boneset if you're just trying to prevent it. These are not your immediate care herbs, but they're important to go over. So teasel root, and actually Japanese knotweed as well, is used in the treatment of Lyme. And here's why. Teasel root is crazy. Teasel root is often used in the treatment of Lyme, with Japanese knotweed and astragalus also being recommended for the virus, for its ability to pull the bacteria from the muscle tissue, where antibiotics and the immune system cannot reach, and into the bloodstream, so the immune system can do its work. So if you've got a bacteria that has like nested itself into muscle tissue, which is how Lyme works and how a lot of viruses work too, teasel is gonna pull it out and be like, you can't hide from us, sucker. Put it in your bloodstream so your immune system can then recognize the virus and attack it. This is some baller stuff right here. But again, you don't really need to pull for this unless you are infected with the virus. Also should note, teasel is used at a very light dose. You don't want to take like a full dropper of teasel all the time like you would certain other things. Okay, cat's claw. This is another herb that is used both for viral infections and Lyme disease. Cat's claw is not a native herb. Up to now, I've talked about easy to find in the US, easy to find in European countries, pretty abundant. Now I'm moving on to some that maybe necessarily aren't. Cat's claw does not grow here. It is wonderful for viral infections. It has the ability to draw infections and inflammation out of the joints, which makes it incredible for Lyme and certain types of arthritis. It has the potential for boosting health, mainly due to the alkaloids found in the roots and bark. These alkaloids are said to stimulate the immune system, leading to this herb's various medicinal and healing benefits. All right. One last one on the ones that need quite a bit of information here. Bone set. And bone set is also being recommended once you've contracted the virus. These are important to note because it could happen. You know, as much as we don't want to think about it, and it's maybe not a huge deal if we get it because our body is made to fight these things, it's still good to try to have a couple of these on hand if you can get to them. You're gonna be fine if you can't get to these. But bone set is also one that is very prevalent. It is super abundant in the South. I'm pretty sure it grows on most of the East Coast. Very strong herb. It's got quite a few uses. Bone set is also used to treat influenza, swine flu, acute bronchitis, nasal inflammation, joint pain, fluid retention, dengue fever, pneumonia, and is a stimulant known to cause sweating. Why does it cause sweating? This is what makes it so awesome. Whilst a high temperature or fever is a natural healing process in the body, over a certain temperature can become dangerous and even life-threatening. A powerful diaphoretic, the most famous use of bone set is a fever reducer. Best taken in a hot infusion, bone set promotes a therapeutic sweat in fevers. It contains flavonoids and essential oils that stimulate the peripheral circulation and encourage sweating, forcing the body to not only cool down, but release toxins through the skin. I think that drinking bone set before taking an herbal bath, if you have the flu or you contract this virus, is one of the best things you could do. Let me read you a quick little quote from an awesome herbal chemist that talks about bone set. According to Mark Peterson, bone set is one of the most versatile plants on earth. This is one that I always say I would have in my survival pouch. He believes that no one phytochemical is responsible for the action of bone set. Rather, it is the symbiosis of all of the constituents that produce the remarkable effects. His research shows that in virtually every instance where there is inflammation or infection, bone set has proven itself most effective. Pretty awesome. So just to cover some very gentle antivirals that you can use right now, lemon balm. This is a super easy one to grow, super easy one to source. You can take it if you're pregnant. It's gentle enough for children. Also, you know, the virus, and a lot of viruses actually, can be contracted by your animals. So knowing what kind of herbal medicine you can give your animals is pretty important too. You can absolutely give them a spot of lemon balm tea. Licorice. Cats are weird. Lemon balm and licorice right now are the bomb. I can't believe I've forgotten to go over honeysuckle already. So honeysuckle, please use honeysuckle. Propolis, myrrh. And on that note, if you happen to have either our sore throat spray, which a ton of you bought over the holidays, or our Swish, our oral hygiene rinse, both of those have propolis, myrrh, yarrow, spilanthes. Something else I'm missing. Incredible antiviral, antibacterial, antimicrobial. Take it, please. And if you already have a sore throat, gargling with a little bit of it before you swallow it would be a really good idea. All right, let's move on here. I can't believe how fast time goes by when I do these videos. Okay, let me address something here. And this is something that Stephen Bunner talks about. Incredible resource. One of my absolute favorite herbalists. shares so much information. He is a wealth of knowledge. I would recommend looking at his website because there you can find his huge articles. But if you're not looking to dive that far in, you can follow him on Facebook, and he shares a lot of this information. I've read just about every article written by herbalists right now about things you can do about the virus, and his is for sure the most clear. And he's got a lot of experience in this area, so please read his article. What else was I going to say? Okay, so he addresses this situation, but I'm going to break it down for you in my own words. So there was a thing going around about how you shouldn't use elderberry right now. The reason being, people were saying that elder has been known to induce a cytokine storm. A cytokine storm is an overproduction of immune cells and their activating compounds, cytokines, which in a flu infection is often associated with a surge of immune cells into the lungs. So let's talk about what the cytokines are. I know I put a nice easy definition on here. Okay, cytokine are small proteins that signal the cells. So when I was doing my silly description in the last video about how what the virus essentially is doing is it enters your bloodstream and your body's like, okay, bring in the troops, everybody do this, let's get this thing. That's what your cytokines are. They're signaling everyone. They have been shown to signal the endocrine as well as immune cells, typically acting as an immunomodulating agents. So basically what I just said. Immunomodulation can happen organically in the system, meaning your body, when doing immunomodulating, is trying to regulate its immune system. Immunomodulation is a good thing. It can also happen like doctors, medical professionals, or yourself simply taking supplements can sort of force it to happen. So cytokine are a natural organic way that your body tries to self-regulate the immune system. So a cytokine storm is an overproduction. You know, too much of a good thing is bad, right? But here's the thing. Elder is an immunomodulator. It is also a cytokine modulator, meaning if you have too much, it's going to bring it down. If you have too little, it's going to bring it up. We want the modulators. So just wanted to address that. I've personally got a lot of questions about that myself. Another interesting thing that he notes is the leaves, the bark, the flowers, all of elderberry is powerful, but the berries have gained so much popularity that that's what we're really focusing on. So the berries do not have quite as many, I forget the exact name of the chemical constituent right now, but if you have the flowers or leaves, this is a really good time to utilize those. In the formula that I'm going to be making to share with everyone, I will be using the flowers and the leaves. So let's see, what else can I roll over? I'm already, it's been almost an hour. Let's see. Okay, very, very important thing. I don't want to scare people by talking about death. So if death is too much for you, just skip on by. But an important part of research with viruses is looking at the people who have passed on due to the virus to see what the final things that the virus did in their body did. And the biggest thing that we're seeing is, of course, deterioration to the lung walls, but also lymph and liver. So lymph nodes, lungs, liver, these are all huge right now. And so there's a few things that you might want to try to have on hand, again, that you really don't need to be taking right now as a preventative, but if things get bad, you get sick, very, very, very good to have on hand. Poke is one of the most popular, again, because it's invasive, it's abundant, it's easy to get your hands on. However, this is another thing that you're only going to want to use at a drop dose. If you have swollen lymphs or you think that your lymphs in your lungs or wherever are infected, taking a drop or two a day would really be a good idea. So something good to have. You can also use red root. And calendula is an incredible lymph mover. Calendula you can actually use now as a preventative of naturally keeping the lymph nodes detoxed, externally and internally. So another cool thing is that the bical skullcap root, which really seems to be like the top player in all of this, is incredible for the spleen and the lymph. So let's see, what else do I have for you guys? Alright, I think I'm gonna pretty much wrap it up there. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about medicinal mushrooms before I close up, and a couple vitamins and supplements that you can take. Medicinal mushrooms are really an incredible resource for everything that's going on right now. Not only because they are immune modulators and can really build immunity and our body's resistance to stress, but they also help you calm the heck down. In particular, reishi is incredible for sleep, for stress, anxiety. Cordyceps is a pretty major player in the corona protocol as well, because it has the ability to protect certain cells that are being attacked with corona. Turkey tail is incredible for immunity. There's just, mushrooms are the best. So if you have any mushrooms, now would be a good time to start extracting those and using those. I just want to throw it out there because I'm sure I've overwhelmed you all with all of these herbs. Again, I will be making and offering these formulas at a discounted rate and hopefully sliding scale as well, because I realize that I can tell you all, and all these other herbalists can tell you all the herbs and all the things you can do all we want, but you don't necessarily have those things right now. And the biggest thing is, even if you go online and buy them, it's going to take you 4 weeks before you have the preparation that you need, and we need these things now. So I just want to let you all know I will absolutely be offering an immunomodulating formula, a respiratory formula, a lymph and detoxing formula, as well as hand sanitizer and just a few other things that my family is using during this time. And just with all of this information, remember to try to do things like, this is a hard one because I don't want to say do things you normally do, because these might be things you don't normally do, but try to get outside. Please try to get outside. Some of the biggest things that our body needs during times of compromised immunity is the sun, vitamin C from fruit, vitamin D from the sun, probiotics from this beautiful soil stuff that we should be eating and walking on barefoot. We should be getting when we eat vegetables, which brings me to another point. If you have farms local to you and you haven't been using that resource, now is the time. Make sure you have their numbers, because those people are still growing and sharing food without you having to go to the grocery store. And if you're, maybe sick, or they're maybe sick, I don't know. I don't want to get too far into what to do if you're infected or someone's infected, but I think it would be better to have your farmer put a little bag of groceries out for you to pick up than to go be around an ass ton of people that are acting crazy. And you know what, people think that we're so lucky living where we are because we're surrounded by farms. I know so many urban farmers that have eggs, that keep a cow, that grow vegetables in their backyards. So just do some Googling, do some researching, ask your community, and see what you can bring together. Having a list of these resources, even if just doing a little research, is going to make you feel better. Again, even if you don't need it now, having these resources is incredibly assuring if anything else happens in the future. So, on these last notes, if you have any questions, if you want to discuss these things at all, I would like to encourage you to join Patreon. Reason for that being, Instagram has become not an incredible resource for businesses and for educators, because once your profile reaches a certain size, Instagram starts to do weird things like hiding messages and comments from you, hiding followers from you, or hiding you from followers. And one thing that really terrifies me about it is that people's accounts get taken down with no notice, no explanation. And so when Patreon came out, which is essentially a crowdfunding platform where you might be donating $3 a month to me having the time to record all this information and then upload it and get it out to you all, And that $3 certainly is not paying my bills, but several people donating what they can, $3, $9, $25, that is facilitating this right now. It's allowing me to take the time comfortably to do this research, to pull together my resources, to make all these things without feeling like I'm losing an income or I have to involve more money than I am already. So thank you if you're already a patron. If you are not, please consider joining at the $3 level, because one of the most incredible resources that we have on Patreon is that no matter what level you're on, you have access to a forum. And on that forum, we have discussions going like general questions, plant identification, plant preparations, business, GMP stuff. And so I'm going on there, all of the other patrons are going on there, and we're posting plants that we're finding in our areas. We're starting group discussions about what they do and how we can use them. I'm sharing videos like how you can make this stuff every day, and it's just a really great resource. So I think that's it. I really hope that this has not been another video that's gotten your nerves rattled. I hope that if anything, I've been able to provide a little bit more assurance to you all that some of these things that you're already doing are really some of the biggest things that are going to keep you well right now. So thank you so much if you've been listening for an hour here. I really appreciate it. Again, I'm going to post some resources, but off the top of my head, some really great ones. Meg with Flora Wellness in Knoxville, is sharing a lot of information. She is an incredible information holder in that she is compiling all this research, putting it in an easy to digest language to share with you all, as well as she's also sharing some resources and protocols. I've got a highlight in my profile that just kind of goes over some of these more invasive and easy to get to herbs. Again, please check out Stephen's website. I believe it's just Stephen, BUHNER.com. I know I'm missing somebody who's been sharing a lot of information, but I'll post what I can, and just thank you. I really appreciate you all being here, and I really appreciate how many people I've been seeing in this community that are already trying to do this stuff and share their resources and be of service in a time where people who are more compromised than they are really needing us right now. So you're doing the good work.